Water holds 4 times more thermal energy than air. Ancient Romans used this to pipe cold aqueduct water through villa walls with no compressor, no refrigerant, and no electricity. Today, a sealed water loop buried 6 feet down cools homes using 50 watts. The HVAC industry spends billions ensuring you never learn this. By the end of this video, you will discover why this method was erased from American codes and how Europeans use it for free. Hi, I'm Greg, and welcome to Building Grounds. Subscribe and hit the bell for more uncovering building secrets they never taught you. The earth beneath every home in America operates as an infinite thermal battery. This is not theory. This is measured physics, documented by laboratories worldwide. At Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, scientists have monitored ground temperatures for decades. Their findings are extraordinary. Below 6 to 10 feet, soil maintains a temperature equal to the annual mean air temperature of that region. In Chicago, that means 55 degrees year-round. In Atlanta, 62. In Denver, 58. In Phoenix, 67. The surface above can swing from -20 to 105 degrees. That underground temperature barely shifts by a single degree across the entire year. Now here is the number that changes everything. Water carries roughly 4 times more thermal energy than air. Think about what that means. Imagine standing in front of a fan on the hottest day of July. The air hits your skin and you feel almost nothing. Now imagine jumping into a lake. The cold hits you instantly, grabs your whole body, and pulls the heat right out of your chest. That is the difference. Air is a whisper. Water is a fist. Moving cooling through air ducts is like trying to haul gravel in a shopping bag. Moving it through water pipes is like loading it onto a freight train. Your air conditioning blower motor uses 500 to 800 watts just to push that weak medium through your house. A small hydronic water pump does the same thermal work on 25 to 75 watts, 90% less electricity. Not because of some exotic technology, because water is a fundamentally superior vehicle for moving heat. This is not engineering opinion. This is the physical nature of water itself. This is where closed-loop hydronic ground cooling enters the picture. The concept is almost absurdly simple. You bury a sealed loop of high-density polyethylene pipe 6 feet underground. You fill it with a water and glycol mixture. A small pump circulates that fluid through the earth, where it reaches the constant 55 degrees ground temperature. The cooled water returns to your home. It passes through a fan coil unit or radiant panels embedded in your floor or ceiling. Room air crosses the cold water surfaces and drops in temperature. The water absorbs the indoor heat, cycles back underground, and discharges it into the earth. The loop is sealed. No water ever touches indoor air. No open channels collect dust or grow mold. The only electricity consumed is one small circulator and one fan. No compressor, no refrigerant, no outdoor condenser unit humming on a concrete pad. Engineers measure cooling efficiency using the coefficient of performance. A standard air conditioner achieves a coefficient between 2.5 and 3.5. For every unit of electricity, you get 2.5 to 3.5 units of cooling. Ground source heat pump systems running compressors reach 3 to 6. But in passive free cooling mode, where the ground loop fluid is cold enough to cool the building directly without engaging any compressor, only pump energy is consumed. The effective coefficient of performance in this mode exceeds 20. 20 versus 3. That gap represents billions of dollars the cooling industry would lose if this knowledge spread. But here is what makes this truly remarkable. We did not invent this physics. We forgot it. 2,000 years ago, in the hills outside Rome, wealthy citizens cooled their villas using water piped from mountain aqueducts. The Roman engineer Vitruvius documented these principles in De Architectura around 30 BC. That work has been in continuous print for more than 2,000 years. Across the empire, cold aqueduct water circulated through clay pipes embedded in walls and beneath mosaic tile floors. The tiles conducted cool temperatures into living spaces. The water absorbed indoor heat and carried it away. This was not primitive. This was precision hydronic engineering using the exact same thermal transfer principles that modern radiant systems employ today. The Roman hypocausts system, originally designed for underfloor heating, was adapted with cool water channels for summer comfort. At the Villa of the Mysteries outside Pompeii, archaeologists discovered channels designed not for heating, but for cooling. Passages extended from beneath the floors into the hillside behind the structure. Cool underground water tempered the air before it entered living spaces. Infrared thermography of excavated Roman cooling channels shows temperature differentials of 15 degrees Celsius from surface conditions. Half a world away, the Persians built something even more ambitious. Underground water channels called qanats stretched for miles into mountain ranges, carrying cold groundwater to cities baking under desert sun. At Yazd in central Iran, wind catchers rose above buildings to funnel hot air downward across these subterranean water channels. The water served as the thermal medium. It absorbed heat from the passing air and carried it away through the underground network. Buildings connected to these qanat systems maintained interiors 30 degrees cooler than the scorching air outside. These structures still stand today, functional after 2,400 years, predating Rome, outlasting every empire since. In Korea, the On-Do-el system dates back 3,000 years. Historical records in the Samguk Sagi describe underfloor channels that maintained interior temperatures between 64 degrees and 72 degrees through brutal summers and winters alike. The principle was always the same: water and earth working together as a thermal engine. Persians, Romans, Koreans, thousands of years of proven hydronic engineering across multiple continents. Then, in less than 1 century, it vanished from Western construction entirely. In 1902, a young engineer named Willis Carrier stood in a Pittsburgh printing plant solving a humidity problem. His invention became the foundation of mechanical cooling. By the 1920s, the Carrier Corporation launched the Weathermaker campaign, positioning air conditioning as the symbol of modernity and progress. Their marketing framed passive cooling as primitive and unsanitary. A 1930 Carrier engineering manual dismissed earth contact cooling as suitable only for cellars and food storage. Industry publications celebrated the triumph of machine over nature, as though dependence on electricity represented advancement rather than vulnerability. The machine had arrived. Everything that came before had to be erased. In 1927, the first model mechanical codes emerged with heavy participation from HVAC industry representatives. By 1945, the post-war building boom standardized mechanical cooling as the only acceptable approach. Passive alternatives disappeared from architectural education entirely. By 1980, fewer than 3% of American architecture programs taught passive cooling strategies. The technology was not disproven, it was systematically removed from professional memory. Contractors today have never heard of closed-loop hydronic geocooling because their licensing exams never mention it. Building inspectors cannot approve what their training never covered. An entire field of proven engineering vanished not through failure but through deliberate exclusion. Open the International Residential Code and search for a compliance pathway for passive closed-loop hydronic cooling operating without a compressor. You will not find one. The code assumes all cooling requires mechanical equipment. The International Energy Conservation Code provides 0 compliance credit for passive ground cooling. Builders receive no incentive to install systems that eliminate the need for air conditioning. Every calculation assumes mechanical cooling is the only path to thermal comfort. Follow the money and the picture sharpens. The residential cooling market generates tens of billions of dollars annually in the United States alone. Every closed-loop hydronic system installed is a compressor that never gets sold, a refrigerant charge that never gets topped off, a service contract that never gets signed, systems that cost a few $100s in polyethylene pipe and run on 50 watts cannot sustain an industry built on units costing $5,000 to $15,000 and consuming thousands of watts. In 2019, the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers Technical Committee 6.8 rejected a proposal to create a performance pathway for earth-coupled systems. The committee cited insufficient domestic data, while 3 decades of European documentation sat ignored. The codes are written against you. The industry profits from your silence, but physics does not care about building codes, and in Europe, they never forgot. At the Passive House Institute in Darmstadt, Germany, researchers have documented ground-coupled hydronic systems in residential buildings since the 1990s. German building code under the Gebäude die Energiegesetz provides efficiency credits for earth-coupled hydronic integration. Homes across Germany maintain interiors between 72 degrees and 75 degrees without conventional air conditioning, even when outside temperatures reach 95 degrees. The international standard ISO 11855 governs the design, installation, and control of embedded radiant heating and cooling systems. It covers new construction and retrofits across Europe, providing the exact compliance framework that American codes refuse to create. In Austria, the national building standard requires thermal analysis for structures exceeding 1,000 square meters. At hospitals in Vienna, hydronic ground loop systems have provided cooling to critical care units for over 30 years of continuous operation. In Switzerland, the Minergie certification program has documented performance from over 200 monitored installations. Longitudinal studies from ETH Zurich found 0 degradation in system performance over 15 years of monitoring. Ground loops built from high-density polyethylene last 50 years or more. Some estimates reach 100 years. The pipe degrades slower than nearly anything we build. The Earth does not degrade at all. The primary American objection to hydronic cooling has always been condensation. Cold surfaces in humid environments collect moisture. Moisture breeds mold. Europeans solved this decades ago with a $30 component. A dew point sensor monitors ambient humidity and modulates the supply water temperature to keep all surfaces above the condensation threshold. The ISO standard explicitly requires protection against moisture damage and condensation prevention as part of system control design. A simple sensor and controller solve the problem that American regulators use to block the entire technology, and this is the critical difference between closed-loop hydronic cooling and open-loop earth tube systems. An earth tube pulls outdoor air through a buried pipe. Humid air contacts cool surfaces. Condensation forms inside the duct. That is a genuine mold risk. A closed-loop hydronic system is fundamentally different. Water circulates inside a sealed pipe and never contacts indoor air. There is no pathway for mold growth inside the loop. At the indoor fan coil unit, condensation collects in a drip pan and drains away. This is identical to how every conventional air conditioner on the planet handles the exact same physics. The mold argument against closed-loop hydronic cooling is a solved engineering problem. It has been solved for decades. So what does this system actually require? High-density polyethylene pipe, 3/4 of an inch to 1 1/4 inches in diameter, buried in horizontal trenches 4 to 6 feet deep. Roughly 150 to 300 feet of pipe per ton of cooling capacity depending on your soil. A water and glycol mixture fills the sealed loop. A small circulator pump moves the fluid at 2 to 3 gallons per minute. A fan coil unit or radiant ceiling panels deliver the cooling indoors. A dew point controller prevents condensation. An expansion tank and automatic air vents complete the circuit. Standard components from any plumbing supply house. Total material cost runs under $1,500 for a residential system. The polyethylene pipe alone costs between $150 and $450 for a full ground loop. Compare that to $5,000 to $15,000 for conventional central air conditioning. Energy savings compound every single year. The International Energy Agency reported that cooling accounts for 20% of all energy used in buildings worldwide. Ground-coupled systems reduce energy consumption and emissions by up to 72% compared to conventional equipment. Your utility bill drops by 1/4 to nearly half. And somewhere beneath your lawn, invisible and silent, physics does the rest. The water loop lasts 50 years. The earth never wears out. The physics that cooled Roman emperors through Mediterranean summers is the same physics holding steady at 55 degrees beneath your foundation right now. It held that temperature before your house was built. It will hold it long after the air conditioner on your concrete pad has been hauled to a landfill. The Romans knew. The Persians knew. The Germans and Austrians and Swiss know right now. The earth has been waiting. The water has always known the way. If this changed how you think about construction, subscribe to Building Grounds with Greg and please watch the next video appearing on your screen right now.